Today I have with me a shirt that is actually from one of my clients. She's been a client for a number of years, and um, though I'm not taking on new in-person clients for uh, regular clothing alterations, I should say mostly for my new in-person clients, it's bridal and slip covers. But I do try to stay loyal to the clients that I've had for the past 15 years. Some of them are elderly and some of them are just, they've been so loyal to me that I like to maintain some level of loyalty to them. So this shirt is a long sleeve, but it's just not comfortable as a long sleeve. And rather than totally ditch it, we've decided to make it a 3/4 length sleeve. So this is just another way that you can alter a garment to fit maybe a new taste for the season of life that you're in, or to change it up a bit in your wardrobe. Like, so there's many options for the shirt. You could have made it sleeveless or a regular cap sleeve of sorts, or we have this 3/4 length. And in order to do that, probably going to end up tapering it a little bit right in here so that it's not a super baggy 3/4 length sleeve. But this is a project that you absolutely can do with some beginning sewing skills and a sewing machine. This sleeve, I'm going to go ahead and make into a 3/4 length sleeve. So here is actually marking the pin, which is the length of the finished sleeve length, which means that in order to have enough seam allowance for a nice hem at the end of the sleeve, I'm probably going to cut it to right about here. So the measure until the pin, if you're measuring the inseam of the arm, is about 8.5, and until there is just about 10. But I'm just going to use this, the end of the placket, as my guide for the cut off length. So that means that I can just go ahead and take a pair of scissors and cut right here. And then turn under right at that pin. Being that it is a checked shirt, you can actually follow right along with the guides for the check. So we're following this black line, which makes it really nice and straight. Then I'm going to go ahead and iron. This is a heavy duty steam iron. Oops. There's a little bit too much steam on it today. And then I'm going to turn under, because you want to hide. This is called a raw edge. So you don't want that showing, because of course during washing that would start to fray. So just turn it under. Like that. Now, in order to, we mentioned when I started that I'm going to try and taper this a little bit to make it a narrower seam. So I'm going to do that from this seam. And as you notice, it has an extra top stitch down here. And so in order to actually access that seam, I have to remove that top stitching. And the easiest way to do that is to come to the underneath. And it's possible that if I pluck this, sometimes the seams are easy to get out and sometimes they're more challenging. So if you catch just the right thread, yeah, just like that, sometimes you can pull a bit of the stitching out. It didn't work as well as I hoped that time. And then you can just kind of figure out which works better for you, the front or the back. Like that. So finish taking out that bit of the seam to open it up, and I've turned it inside out. So you can see now it turns up so it has a seam allowance, so it's not a flat seam. And this is going to be where you're going to stitch. So you're going to try and stitch as you're tapering like this, so that it will narrow the width of the end of this seam. And as you start stitching, you really want to get the needle right into the existing seam, because this will make it so it doesn't look like it's a jagged start, but that it just is a taper, and it'll be inconspicuous from the outside. But if you start off from the seam, then there might be a little bit more of a pucker from the outside of the fabric on your new seam. Another tip for sleeves, or that also works for pants, is that as you're doing the second sleeve, match it with the first one. You want the shoulder seams to go together and the underarm seams to go together, so that you know it's the exact length of the other one. I'm going to go ahead and iron that down as well. Now that I've finished sewing the edge of the sleeve, you can take a look and see my seam right along the edge. Notice that they're matching, that both sleeves are the same length, and on the inside you can see the stitches where I tailored the sleeve width so that it's not quite as wide. And can just lay them down again, give them a good iron, and you're ready to go. Thank you for watching. You can shop tutorials and classes on my website, naomifeda.net. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, may God sow his love into your heart today.